Hi everyone, Matt Hetherington here from MHTableTennis.com, and in my coaching tutorial video today I'm looking a little bit more on the side of different drills, not so much the technical side of things, and I'm looking into serve receive and how you can go about including more serve receive oriented practice into your training. So when people talk about what the most important aspects of table tennis are, obviously there's a huge advantage with the serve, and players are out there practicing aspects of their serve in very unique ways compared to the rest of their game. So especially you can look at, for example, serve practice, where it's a very individual thing and players are taking a box of balls and practicing their serve on a table by themselves. This is not typically something that you see with any other elements of table tennis, for obvious reasons. But I think it is very important to recognize that serve receive is in some regards more important to practice than the serve, because when you serve you have that advantage of being able to control every aspect of what you do, and that can give you a very big advantage in table tennis point, and it's why we talk about servers having the advantage. With the receive, you have the job of trying to work against the ball that's coming to you and against the purpose that is intended for that ball from your opponent. So, they're both parts of the very first initial play of a point, whether you're serving or receiving, and they can both determine whether or not you have control over the point. But with the receive, you don't have the same aspect of control as with the serve. And I think in a lot of cases, players have much weaker receives than serves. And I feel that it's a good enough reason when you look across the board that players should start addressing serve receive practice and making it more focused as part of their practice. So in a number of my videos, I've covered the basics of the short push, the long push, backhand and forehand flicks, and I have talked on a number of occasions about why I think it's important to isolate serve-receive training. Now, one of the ways that you can do this is very easily go and receive the serve of somebody who is spending time practicing their serve. So you can do this in pairs, where you have one person serving and one person receiving for the first half, and then you switch over and you practice your serve and they practice their receive for the second half. And you can work through different service combinations or different receives. But I think it's a good opportunity when somebody is dedicating time to practicing their serve to have somebody at the other end of the table. It also helps them gauge how opponents would receive their serves, whether opponents would struggle with certain variations. So it's good to have somebody at the other end of the table when you're practicing your serve. And it's also a great opportunity to build partnerships around that kind of practice, so that you have the opportunity to start practicing your receive more. Now, for the short variations, I personally like to do some multi-ball training for that, and whether you get a short feed or a short serve feed, multi-ball I've always found has really helped me with my serve receive practice. And you can start off simply by fixing a serve type. So for example, you can do a short backspin or short float serve and isolate, let's say, to the forehand 2/3 or to the backhand 2/3. So the following two demonstrations are videos of me doing that, forehand first and backhand second, and just practicing a range of different serve receive types: short push, long push, fades, flicks, against a ball that's coming to a certain area of a certain length. Now, you can take it down even more basic than this and just work on one serve receive against one type of serve. So for example, I could choose to work on the backhand banana against a short backspin serve. And maybe I do that across the whole table. There's a lot of different variations you can do with these multi-ball feeds, and I find they're really good for working on short receives. Of course, it's always good also to get some long serve receive practice in, and this can be done in a number of different ways. You can have players, while they're doing short serves to you, throw in a long serve every now and then, or you can do it in practice where players are serving short, you get the long serves thrown in. I always find it's good to, when you're practicing a long serve return, that it's done in a manner where you don't know when it's coming. So I think practicing a whole box against a whole box of long fast serves, if the placement was different, or if it was something that you were really struggling with, yes, it might be appropriate, but I think the best way to do it is when it's unexpected. So I always think it's a good time when you're practicing against short receives that your practice partner or your coach can throw in a long serve to really test your ability to receive those serves. The next example or demonstration that I have is of across the whole table. So in this one, again, we're working with one type of serve across the entire table with random placement. And this is one that I think is really good to throw into your practice every now and then, just to keep your short receive fine-tuned and to keep everything up to scratch. And you can make combinations of short pushes, long pushes, flips, fades, strawberries, lots of different serve receive variations. And I think this is a good one for just maintaining or keeping up to scratch at least your touch or your timing for certain serve receives, and also the movement into the table. One of the things that I feel really helped me work on my serve receive, and my serve receive particularly was very off balance compared to my service game. So I always felt my service game was a lot better than my receive, and I had to look into ways that I could try and balance that out and fix that. You know, when you're in a match, you can't afford to have a significant weakness in either your serve or your receive. So one of the things that I was doing for a little while, which I felt really helped, was playing matches where I didn't serve. So I would go and pick opponents. Sometimes I would choose opponents that were lower than my level. Sometimes I would choose opponents that were equal and sometimes higher. But the premise of the idea was that when I played these matches, whether it was for the space of one game or the space of an entire match, I did not serve. And there were, in the beginning, very big differences between how I was able to perform against those players when it was even with both of us serving, and then when it was just me receiving in the matches. I definitely struggled a lot more in the beginning. So taking away that serve advantage took away a lot of opportunities for me to win points, and I really had to start thinking more about improving my receive in order to make myself more competitive. And you know, receiving is half of the points in a match. You can't afford to not be sharp on that area of the game. Of course, it's also good to look into serves that you're not particularly comfortable receiving and then practice against those. So you can isolate again, and when you're doing this receive practice against a single ball with your practice partner serving, really think about serves that you have a lot of difficulty receiving. And you need to try and find players. Like if you're struggling to receive the reverse pendulum serve, try and find a player in your club that wants to work on the reverse pendulum serve and pair up with them so that you have a chance to work on that receive. So today's video tutorial, I guess, for lack of a better word, was kind of more of a theoretical part than instructional. I definitely want you guys to think more about how you can improve your serve receive, because it is a very important element of table tennis. And I just thought I would give some general ideas, particularly about how you might go about practicing that. So hopefully you found that useful. If anything, I find one of the more unique suggestions is to go into matches, practice matches, and not serve. So to really break down and put pressure on your receive, that is, I think, the best way to really start analyzing how effective your serve receive is. And for me, that certainly was a pretty big factor in realizing what the weak areas were with my receive. And obviously, like, you know, we're all learning, and for me, it's still a weak area of my game, especially compared to my service game. So we have to keep on continuing, and it's just a good chance to take a step back and look at things we need to improve and really be creative and try a lot of different things and different methods to improve that. So hopefully some of those thoughts resonate with you. As usual, thank you for everyone who's joining me for these videos. Very much appreciate the support. And I hope those of you who've been following throughout these videos have found them to be useful. I know in a lot of them, I do a lot of talking. Some people like that, some people don't. Obviously, I can't cater for everyone. I personally feel that looking at table tennis videos that are on YouTube, there is not enough explanation and detail, so that's the road that I've tried to go down with this series of videos. So hopefully you've been enjoying, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another one. So thank you guys for joining me.